have any veterans in here? Yeah, we do? Who? Well, thank you for your service. It's my best friend growing up was in the Army. And unfortunately, though, he did get kicked out. It was for a reason I didn't know about. It turns out you can get kicked out of the Army for having gonorrhea. Yeah, I know. And I didn't know that was something to get kicked out for, but apparently they call it having dishonorable discharge. So, right? That's icky. I know, that is it, yeah. How do you think I felt when he told me? Right? Man. What else about me? Anyone else here with ADHD? I have terrible ADHD. Anyone? Fellow spasms here? Yeah. Gosh. Or do you just have an Adderall prescription? I won't tell your doctor. Hey, we all do what we gotta do to stay thin. But it's terrible right now trying to get like the medicine filled. There's a nationwide shortage of like stimulants and stuff. And I got so fed up of going to pharmacy, I finally asked the pharmacist. I was like, well, what's going on with the shortage? And she was like, there's a nationwide shortage because there's a nationwide shortage of the active ingredient. And I'm like, well, what's the active ingredient? And she was like, amphetamine. Right? And I was like, okay, well, we're in Missouri. I don't think it'll be too hard for us to find some. In fact, I should be able to get it like it's the farmer's market, like it's sourced locally. You know, it's got a stamp on it. It's like these local amphetamine salts were cooked in a half-submerged Winnebago along the Missouri River by the region's finest concoctors of dope. That's what I think. It's kind of crazy every time I talk about it because one time a guy stopped me after the show and he looked how you would think, and he was like, yeah, Adderall is good and smooth, but it's too safe. What you really want for some edge is that biker crank. Yeah, and I was thinking about it, I'm like, you know, that may be true, sir. You look like you know your stuff. You did. But the difference is with Adderall, unlike your biker crank, is I get to keep my teeth. So I think I'll stick with that. Man, what else about me? You guys are gonna learn a lot about me. I'm a Midwesterner through and through. I assume most of us here are Midwesterners too, right? Yeah. I've been really embracing it. I've been trying to embrace my Midwesterness. And by that I mean I've been getting fat. Yeah, it's true. I have a cousin who lives out in California, and every time he visits, he gives us crap about being all fat in the Midwest, and you know, we don't have enough hot yoga places, you know, we only have like one Pilates studio in KC and stuff like that. You know, one time he came over and he showed me this picture he had taken, you know, and on the timestamp said it was 10:40 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and the picture was like 40, like kind of chubby people lined up in a parking lot. You know, and I'm like, what's this? And then he zooms out. And those 40 kind of chubby people were lined up in a parking lot at 10:40 a.m. on a Saturday morning, waiting for Golden Corral to open. Right. Now, I'm defensive. I'm getting defensive of our people, you know. I'm like, well, hey, you got to get there early for the rolls to still be warm. You know, they've got the chocolate fondue fountain. It gets clocked by 2 p.m. You can't wait. You know, if you want to dip stuff in the chocolate, you gotta get there early, you know? Then I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. There are both fat people and Golden Corrals all over this fine country. How do I know you took this here? And then he zoomed in, and I was one of the 40. I was one of the 40 kind of fat Midwesterners waiting in line for Golden Corral to open. You know, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go find that biker crank guy because hey, he didn't have teeth, but he was skinny. So, right? Man. It's kind of crazy. Even though I'm gay, I think I'd be really good at like writing women's smut novels, you know? It's all about imagery, you know? Like, oh, her eyes were a blue-green, he thought. Like the mold on the bread in his apartment that he forgot to throw away. You know? Or, and I'm just guessing on this part, her lady parts were dark and deep and mysterious. Like a pothole in Kansas City. And like a pothole here in Kansas City, she was ravenous because she remained unfilled. See, I'd be good at it.